Good evening, I'm Ansmane Sonyasi, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. President Barrow has announced the appointment of Mr. Muhammad B.S. Jallow as his vice president. And President Barrow on Friday presided over the swearing-in of the Commission of Inquiry into the conduct of all local government councils in the Gambia and connected matters. As global economies experience economic downturn with rising cost of living, food insecurity, and the increasing cost of commodity imports, we speak to the Trade Minister and some members of the public about the problem. The Female Lawyers Association of the Gambia, in collaboration with partners, on Friday concluded a two-day forum on strengthening women's and children's access to justice and community policing. In international news, as Nigerians will vote to elect senators and, crucially, a new president on Saturday, 25th February, we evaluate the prospects of 3 serious contenders among the 18 candidates. And in sports news, 150 children from volleyball academies across the Gambia are attending a volleyball training camp at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. Well, stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. Now, President Barrow has announced the appointment of Mr. Muhammad B.S. Jallow as his vice president. The post became vacant on the death of Badra Aliu Juf on 17th January 2023. Here's an excerpt from the State House press release.
Vice President Muhammad Jallow is an experienced civil servant who served in different capacities, from being a teacher to permanent secretary in various ministries. He rose to the position of Secretary General and head of the Civil Service, a position he held until his statutory retirement in 2020. Mr. Jallow also worked at the Senegalo-Gambia Secretariat as Deputy Executive Secretary, representing the Gambia. We hope to bring a fuller report on his appointment at a later date.
And we still stay with presidential matters because President Barrow on Friday presided over the swearing-in of the Commission of Inquiry into the conduct of all local government councils and connected matters. As Alucise reports, President Barrow urged the Commission to be impartial and sincere in their work.
Each of the 5-member Commission appointees took an oath of office and secrecy administered by Aliu Njai, the new Secretary of Cabinet, in the presence of President Barrow and some Cabinet ministers. The Commission, chaired by Jenna Baba Sambu, includes Samba Fall, a former mayor of Banjul, Sukai Seka Sanyang, Oremi E. Joyner, and Alagi Silla, a former parliamentarian, as members. The Commission is expected to finish and submit its finding within 3 months from the day it is set up. The Commission is mandated to conduct a holistic and fair review of the financial and administrative operations of councils with the objective of improving their governance and service delivery components based on standard procedures. The Attorney General is to appoint a council and other officials to assist the Commission in its inquiry. The Inspector General of Police is also assigned to provide security during sittings to preserve order, provide security to the Commissioners and Council, and to serve summonses on witnesses. President Barrow said the decision to set up the inquiry follows complaints of alleged financial and administrative irregularities from 4 local government councils. While calling on the public to remain law-abiding while the Commission carries out its work, he hoped the Commission will conduct a fair investigation into the councils.
Almost 2 months into the 2023 fiscal year, for example, the Banjul City Council is yet to submit its annual budget for scrutiny by the Ministry, as provided for by the Local Government Finance and Audit Act 2004. Also, at the Kanifi Municipal Council, there have not been a Chief Executive Officer and Director of Finance for nearly 2 years.
Recognizing the importance of the local government councils and the need to ensure due process is followed, President Barrow said his government has a huge responsibility to restore and maintain normalcy at all levels of the councils. He said the outcome of the inquiry will guide the government on the adoption of relevant policies.
In discharging our responsibilities as a government, we are committed to the principles of accountability and transparency. Thus, we have to take proper steps to strengthen professionalism in all public institutions, including local councils.
Jenaba Basambu, chairperson of the commission, welcomes their appointment as one that comes with great responsibility. She gave assurances of their determination to live by their oaths.
Your Excellency, we pledge to do our utmost during the period that we serve to warrant your trust, confidence, support in the execution of our duty.
The Commission will also investigate, among other matters, the increment of salaries and allowances of staff and elected officials between May 2018 and January 2023, the general staffing situation of councils, and ascertain whether a council is overstaffed and if such staff were employed in accordance with applicable policies, procedures, and laws. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Now, as global economies experience economic downturn, the Gambia is facing its share of the problem. The rising cost of living has affected much of the population, further fueled by food insecurity and the increasing cost of commodity imports. QTV's Maud Lamin Choi has been speaking to the Trade Minister and some members of the public.
The cost of living, particularly food commodities, have become more difficult to afford for many Gambians. From the heat of the COVID-19 pandemic, followed by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the impacts of these crises on global economies have had a ripple effect on commodity prices in the Gambia. Market prices have persistently risen across the country. Here are Amisano and Mariama, a vendor and buyer respectively.
When I started selling powder juice, I used to buy the packet for $35. Now it costs $100. Previously, the carton cost $1,400, and now I buy it for $2,200. Previously, you could buy fish for $100. Now you can buy fish for the same price, but get a lower quantity, about the quantity we used to buy for $50. And fish prices have gone up to $200 and $500 and more. Now a bag of rice has also increased from $2,300 to $2,400.
Last week, President Adama Barrow's Independence Anniversary speech couldn't fail to mention the rising cost of living and its effect on Gambian households.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2022 was a challenging year. It confronted us with rising living costs and hiking prices of fuel, influenced by the global crisis. These reduce the ability of households to fulfill their basic needs and responsibilities.
The main driver of inflation in the Gambia is food prices, as most of the foods Gambians consume are imported. In November last year, food prices increased by 26% on the previous year. Here is the Minister of Trade explaining government's interventions to cushion the effect of food prices on consumers.
The issue of interventions now to deal with the current market challenges, we are thinking about it day in, day out. We have had our interventions by engaging the stakeholders where relief can be induced, through process efficiencies, through, charge, reliefs, tax reliefs, levy reliefs, and all those things. Government has bent backwards for a long time. I know we have, over the last 12 months, by December, we had, and I think these figures are in the public domain, over $1.5 billion of taxes have been waived.
According to IMF, continued currency depreciation, poor agricultural production, and sharply rising import costs are the main causes of inflation in the Gambia. To address this problem, the Trade Minister highlights the need for private sector investment in food production and other long-term strategic measures.
In the long term, that's the most important one. Ensure that we institutionalize industrial farming, at the same time support smallholder farming. This is important. And once you support smallholder farming, the industrial scale can even resort to exports. But the smallholder farmers will produce what they eat, and the surplus is what the cooperatives will aggregate and sell also as exports. That is how we boost our foreign exchange earnings, and that's how we develop this country.
As the world continues to face economic shocks, the cost of living is likely to keep increasing, and the most vulnerable will be the poor countries. To mitigate this in the Gambia requires good policies, programs and projects to address our dependency on food imports, to achieve self-sufficiency and affordable food commodity prices in the long term. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Now, the Female Lawyers Association of the Gambia, in collaboration with the Program for the Promotion of the Rule of Law in Sub-Saharan Africa of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, commenced a two-day forum on Thursday on strengthening women's and children's access to justice and community policing. Lena E. Igwenyiba reports.
The forum targets community women, youth representatives and stakeholders from civil society organizations to share expertise, experiences, difficulties and good practice. The training will cover issues of gender-based violence, the legal frameworks protecting women and children, and cultural and institutional barriers that hinder the successful implementation of the laws. Yasin Senghor, Vice President of the Female Lawyers Association Gambia, FLAG, speaks about the association's work in safeguarding the welfare of women and children.
FLAG has been involved in several different mechanisms to achieve its aims and objectives, and this includes advocating for women and children's rights, raising awareness and lobbying policymakers to enact laws and protect their rights. And for now, we can proudly boast that FLAG has become a household name.
Despite various legislations governing the welfare and protection of women and children in the Gambia, Ingo Baderek, Director of the Rule of Law Program, Sub-Saharan Africa, Konrad Adenauer Foundation, says there remain some significant injustices.
There are still enormous cultural and institutional challenges. Many causes continue to impede access to justice for women and children in the Gambia. One major problem that we find not only in the Gambia is the lack of reliable data on violence against women. We did some research prior to coming here, and we find how difficult it is to get reliable data.
Fatou Cham, the Vice Chairperson of the National Assembly Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare, deliberates on the statistics of gender-based violence in the country.
The Gambia Bureau of Statistics reported that up to 9% of women between ages 15 to 49 in the Gambia have ever experienced sexual violence, which almost 40% of ever married women have been subjected to their physical, sexual, or emotional violence by their current or most recent partners. What is most shocking is the UNFPA's report on this same survey, which revealed that about 51% of women and 35% of men in the Gambia agree that wife battering is acceptable if a wife, for example, burns the food, argues with her husband, goes out without telling her husband, neglects the children, or refuses to have sexual relations with her husband, just to name a few.
In the Gambia, abuse remains largely unreported due to impunity, silence, stigma, and fear. FLAG is committed to procuring changes to the country's law for the protection and well-being of women and children, to eliminate violence against them, promote freedom of expression, sexual and reproductive health rights, and support women and children to participate effectively in the development process of the country. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena E. Igwenyiba.
And that report there by Lena E. Igwenyiba will lead us to the commercial break. But when we return, we'll have a look at international and sports news.
Being the Gambia's trusted network, QCell continues to provide the fastest and most reliable internet service in the Gambia. With 4G plus internet speed, you are guaranteed fast and reliable internet anytime, anywhere with QCell. Get a QCell SIM card now at any of our customer care centers and enjoy the fastest 4G internet in the Gambia. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyubus, we innovate, others follow.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back after the commercial break. Be reminded, you're watching QTV News and we're coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Ansmane Esonyasi. Now in a moment we take a look at international news. On Saturday, 25th February, Nigerians will vote to elect senators and, crucially, a new president. Muhammadu Buhari, the incumbent, cannot contest, having served 2 terms. 18 candidates are listed, but political analysts agree there are only 3 serious contenders. So we evaluate the prospects for all 3. More in this report.
Of the 18 contesting candidates for the presidency, 17 are men. Ojai Chichi is the only female candidate this year, and she will represent the Allied People's Movement. The 3 main contenders are Atiku Abubakar, the candidate for the opposition People's Democratic Party, and he is contesting for the 6th time. He's a former vice president, having served in that role from 1999 to 2007. He was on the presidential ballot in 2007 and in 2019, and also lost his party's presidential primaries in 1993, 2011 and 2015. Bola Tinubu, of the ruling All Progressives Congress, is being described as the kingmaker who wants to be king. He is a first-time contender and is widely believed to have been the man responsible for the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015. He is a former governor of Lagos State, having been governor between 1999 and 2007. The 3rd main contender is Peter Gregory Obi of the Labour Party, who is leader of what is described as the Obedient Movement. He is the businessman and a former governor of Anambra State in the southeast region of Nigeria. Obi supporters coined the word obedient to describe themselves. At 51 years of age, he is the youngest man of the 3, and many analysts are expecting him to give the youth vote. This may be an oversimplification of a rather complex electorate. After all of the main political parties have youth wings, and those members are unlikely to vote for Obi simply because of his age. If there is to be a 4th candidate with an outside chance, that person is Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, a former governor of Kano State and the presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party. Whoever wins, they have many balls to juggle. Religion is a key factor in this and every election. Since 1999, there has been a skillful balancing act to ensure that the president and the vice president are not of the same religion. While the north is predominantly Muslim, the south is predominantly Christian. This balance has been upset this time, as Bola Tinubu, a Yoruba Muslim, has chosen Kashim Shettima, a Kanuri Muslim and the former governor of Borno State, as his running mate. Many Nigerians and social groups, including the Christian Association of Nigeria, have strongly condemned this move. There are 93.4 million registered voters, and the elections will be conducted across 176,606 polling stations. The Electoral Commission will be deploying 1.265 million trained officials, among them 530,538 polling unit security officials. To move electoral materials and officials around, over 100,000 vehicles and about 4,200 boats accompanied by naval gunboats are required. Cap it all, this is happening at a time when the country is in a state of insecurity and there is a scarcity of fuel and cash. If no clear winner emerges, the 2 front-runners will have to face off 21 days from Saturday's vote. For QTV News, I am Ade Darami.
As we wish Nigerians peaceful elections, we will continue to closely monitor. Also in international news, the exhumed remains of Burkina Faso's most iconic leader, Thomas Sankara, and those of his 12 aides who were murdered with him were reburied on Thursday at the site of their killing in the capital, Ouagadougou, in 1987. More in this report.
Their bodies were exhumed in 2015 from a cemetery where they had been buried in 1987 on the outskirts of the city for investigations into their murder. The investigations led to a 6-month trial culminating in April 2022 with life sentences in absentia for ex-President Blaise Compaoré and his key accomplices. The reburial ceremony was attended by the military leadership, dignitaries, victims' relatives, community leaders and well-wishers. The coffins were draped in Burkina Faso flags and each deceased's photo on his coffin. However, While some of Sankara's relatives attended the funeral, others, including his widow, Mariam, and children, boycotted it. His brother, Paul Sankara, has been quoted in the international press saying that place is painful for us to put our feet there. A lot of people were tortured there and crimes committed there and murders. The site of the burial, which has since become a memorial featuring a life-size statue of Sankara, was the spot where he and his comrades were murdered. The family had asked the government to bury him elsewhere, but was told that the site was chosen in the national interest and because of security imperatives. A statement issued on behalf of the family reads, "We believed and continue to believe that it is fundamental that a space be found that allows us to gather and appease hearts and not divide us and increase resentment." Sankara's uncle, on the other hand, has been quoted saying, "We thank the authorities who took part in writing an important page of our history." They might disagree on his final resting place, but what evidently unites them is their admiration and respect for a man who has become a national treasure with an international reach that outstrips that of any other leader of his generation. The guitar-playing army officer, with his trademark red beret, came armed not only with a gun, but with a vision to dismantle the inherited colonial state and institute a structure of governance serving the interests of his people. It has over the years won him many hearts and minds across the African continent, who continue to idolize him as a champion of virtue politics. He introduced what one commentator described as the most ambitious programs of sweeping reforms ever seen in Africa. He first cast off the colonial designation of Haute Volta, Upper Volta, and adopted what has been described as a dynamo of progress under the proud name of Burkina Faso, land of upright people, and went on to make massive advances in healthcare, including the vaccination of 2 million children in little over 2 weeks. Education, food self-sufficiency, and small-scale agricultural production. According to reports, Burkina Faso became a net exporter of foodstuffs. And even in gender politics, he was ahead of the game, earning him a newspaper article headline, "A Feminist President." He defended all things homegrown, honesty, and simple living. His ministers drove small cars and traveled economy class. Sankara himself rode a bicycle. He died at 37, having been in power for a mere 4 years. Yet his accomplishments, according to many analysts, remain unparalleled. For QTV News, I am Murumboch.
We continue to remember and celebrate Sankara's legacy. And now on to some exciting sports news. Now, 150 children from volleyball academies across the Gambia are attending a volleyball training camp at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. Julian Jai visited them at their training session and filed this report.
The volleyball training camp and festival is organized by the Gambia Volleyball Federation in collaboration with KEVOG volleyball team in Belgium. The festival is aimed at promoting physical activity, teamwork, and social interaction among children and the young people. Bababukal Barrow, head coach of the Gambian national indoor and beach volleyball team, explains the rationale behind the festival.
We want to see that everybody in the Gambia, from Banjul to Basse, everybody involved. We don't want the game to be only centered in Greater Banjul area. So the federations with the KEVOG have this initiative to have a training camp every year, although we started doing it the year last year and year before last, but due to COVID, it was not able to help. But this year, thank God, it was held and successfully we are on it. In the morning, we have training sessions with the KEVOG volleyball team. They lead in the drills. In the afternoons, we have the center volleyball competition to check the centers how far they are going in terms of development.
Mr. Barrow says volleyball has registered numerous successes in the Gambia, but not without challenges.
Actually, we have a lot of challenges, as you can see. If we have an indoor court, all these things will happen in a covered roof. See, the sun is burning. Some of these kids are young. If those kind of infrastructures in place, perhaps we'll have a great training camps and the children will enjoy it more and more. Those are the major challenges that we are facing. although there are some financial challenges.
Tim Carmelet, president of KEVOG from Belgium, says they partnered with the Gambia to help nurture and encourage and promote local clubs in volleyball and to have better materials for the game.
Collected from volleyball clubs in our country, we collected materials they would give to this project, so it's like volleyballs, nets, shoes, t-shirts, shorts. We gave them as much as possible so they can use them for having better training conditions. We also gave some volleyball nets to use at our local clubs, and then we funded everything from the hotels here, the food here, the animation here, so that everybody can have a good time during the volleyball festival.
Alaji Jallo, a participant from Basse in URR, is delighted to take part in the festival. According to him, events such as this will motivate the youths to be more determined.
Before I used to like the game, but it motivated me, our coaches, until I came to like the game. And over here I'm playing this game now. I want to represent my country internationally. And I want the federation to support us, because though we are 400 kilometers away from the capital, but I want the federation to support us down there.
Bintu Fall is also a participant from Birkama United in the West Coast region.
I have learned the other way of flicking, and also they have given us different items so that we can have fun, and they give the tutors also to be one family. And also I have so many friends here.
KEVOG in Belgium and the Gambia Volleyball Federation hope that hosting programs such as this will help promote and advance sport of volleyball in the Gambia. In the same vein, it presents an opportunity for Belgians to interact with Gambian youths and be exposed to different cultures and ways of life. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
And also just a quick update, the Gambia Under-20 team is through to the quarterfinals of the ongoing Under-20 AFCON after defeating Zambia by 2-0. Goals from Kajali Drame and team captain Alaji Sen. We wish them all the best of luck as they progress to the next phase of the competition. And this is where we draw the curtains on this bulletin, but do join us tomorrow for more news. Thanks for watching.